Good evening, everybody. This is Cinnamon Noir.
And this is the Ramen Shaman.
Welcome back to Ebe. When we last left off, we'd taken care of Mary and found out what she was really like.
Ugh, taken care of.
And now we're going to move on, past the part where we couldn't get earlier because Garry wasn't there to move this statue for us.
Ah.
I don't think Garry actually has pushed that many statues, like maybe 3? Oh, this is a little trippy. And this is even more so. So yeah, when you cross the, when you get to the bottom of the staircase, suddenly everything looks like it's made out of crayon.
Ooh.
Which in fact, as we'll soon find out, it is.
I have a theory, actually, just looking at this.
Go ahead.
Sketchbook. This is his earliest stuff.
You're only half right. But we'll find out about that later. That is curious. Yeah, this area of the game, it's charming, but at the same time the graphics are just so silly. It's a little hard to take it seriously.
The clock.
You know, it's sort of hard
A
to
little bit.
with deliberately like cheesy graphics. It's a little hard to tell how much of it is lack of talent and how much of it is deliberate. Now, Kuri has made some really good graphics in this game previously, so I do think it's fair to assume that this is all deliberate.
Well, especially since, yeah, I was gonna say, looking at the earlier stuff, I think it's intentional, although the muddiness is a bit weird.
Yeah, I love the childish quality of how, like, this house is drawn upside down. Because it's supposed to be rising out of the ground, but children don't know how perspective works. So this is actually the way a lot of children do draw. I was looking at some stuff I drew as a kid a long time ago, and it was kind of like this, to be honest.
I mean, I just flat out couldn't draw when
Things were crammed
ahead of me.
things get crammed together in the same panel in a way that doesn't make logical sense. And they sprawl all over the page because kids don't understand foreshortening. Anyway, a lot of weird things going on here, but this central area has a vase that only works once, and a save point. And to get to this room, which is actually the way to move forward, we need to find a key in the toy box, which is in the far north. So I do dither a little bit here, but eventually I figure out what I'm doing. Yeah. The gallery we can't get into yet. That's the one on this page. And that, where the toy box is also locked. But there's actually one more house I have not noticed yet. Which is this one. I think that thing in the upper left-hand corner is supposed to... Yeah, it's a bunny. Oh, and there's a bucket here. Well, that's all we have here. Let's just leave. Let's just stay, actually. This seems like a nice house. Let's stay in here. So yeah, Mary is running around after us, and she has the palette knife in her hand, so...
Oh, dearie.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to tangle with her at this point. Though she seems to have recovered her senses a little bit. She is more purposeful now, instead of just wandering around and babbling. But I don't think her purpose is anything good. Anyway, we can use this bucket to get some water out of this lake. Do not dip your rose in it, because this is not normal water, and it will actually hurt your rose.
Aha.
You would think.
That makes sense.
Well, you would think, since it's water, you could use it like a vase, but that's not true.
You would think?
You can't really use it, like a vase.
Oh, true.
Anyway, I do a stupid thing here. So I water the bud, which is what you're supposed to do. But then you're supposed to search inside the bud, which is where the key to the next area is.
But you didn't... Yeah, you just...
I think I had a fake memory of having to water 2 buds, and then a door just opens up. But I couldn't find the second bud that I needed to water. For obvious reasons, which is that it doesn't exist. Anyway, back we go. I think this is the point where I have my non-on-screen epiphany. Yeah, there we go. Oh, no.
Eureka!
Fake Eureka.
Worst kind.
Actually, as long as we're not making any progress, you know where Eureka comes from, right?
I have done it.
I have found it, literally. It comes from the same root as heuristics. Archimedes was the one who used the word in its now modern sense. And he supposedly did it while he was in his bath.
Yes.
Okay, you know the whole story. He was trying to figure out how to prove a crown was pure gold or not.
Yeah.
And he realized that since gold has a certain specific density, like all things, that it should displace a certain amount of water if you place it into, a thing full of water. And if it didn't, that would prove it was adulterated.
Yeah, which, I've heard a version of the story where he actually, runs out of the bath and basically ends up streaking in public.
Yeah, naked. Although that wasn't that strange in Greece, to be honest. For instance, at the gym, everyone did that. In fact, gym literally means naked. So
it still sounds a bit fanciful to me.
I'm almost certain it is. Oh, this is interesting. So there's little crayon paintings of us and Mary and a blue doll.
Yeah, let's...
By the way, do you have a different theory now as to what this place is? Just curious.
I mean, I had still thought it was the artist, from the artist's childhood.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well.
Oh, well.
So, by opening Pandora's box, we've unleashed all these strange things upon this world. There's one new strange thing in each area, and they all have a symbol associated with them. So, for instance, in this one, it's the sun that has now shown up.
Uh-huh. Macaroons.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically the way Japanese people think of macaroons, which is they're the little pastries with stuffing in the middle. A little odd. Not the same as macaroons, obviously.
Macarons, yeah, they are kind of hamburger shaped.
Mm-hmm, yeah. They're like every burgers, which really are Japanese. Anyway, this is a very curious room. This is probably one of the most complicated puzzles in the game. Can you figure out what we're supposed to be doing here?
Start. Heart. Eye, moon. So you're supposed to go to the different sections of the village, right?
That is correct. And you see where the different symbols are. And then you follow that spiral in the pattern. And that's the pattern in which you need to push those buttons.
Oh!
So it's an 8-part puzzle where you need to go out here, look at all these different things. Oh, look, there's a dead body hanging from that tree. Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
Ooh. By the way, there's also... I can't even tell what that is. It's like a flying knife or something. That will just go across the screen and take off a heart. But yeah, if you look in the lake, a crescent moon will appear, so that tells you that that's what that's supposed to be. I have forgotten what this area is. I think that might just be a flower. There you see the spiral that's on the bulletin board.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's a spear. Here we have the giant lips. And what is Garrett and his thing with lips? Maybe he was a big fan of the Rolling Stones. I don't know. Anyway, of course, after that one brief survey, I'm instantly able to solve this puzzle.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's it. By the way, if you get any of these wrong, it will take away a health point. So you cannot solve it by trial and error. Unless
There'd be a lot of potential combinations anyway.
Yeah. You'd have to have a lot of patience to solve it that way. In other words, you'd have to reload the game a lot because you'd be dying. This one we have the heart. You can see it on the door there. The middle doesn't have anything associated with it because there's not a button there.
Uh-huh.
Maybe it's the smoke rings coming out of the chimney that's supposed to be that. This one, I think it's the apple. The apple's sort of the odd one out here. Or no, maybe it's supposed to be the star, because there are star fruit on that one tree. They're kind of low-res star fruit, it's hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure that's what they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Star fruit are weird, I've never had one, but apparently in Asian countries they're extremely popular.
They're alright. They have a very strong citrus flavor.
Oh, do they? Huh. I didn't even realize they were a citrus fruit.
I'm trying to what's the best way to describe the,
I don't know.
internal texture?
Oh,
I'm trying to think of a good comparison. They have, like, they're kind of crunchy. They have a translucent flesh.
Yep.
Inside.
By the way, that part right there where my health went from 5 to 1, that wasn't an edit or anything. It was a glitch. This game's got a lot of glitches in it, you know. I definitely didn't fail this and die and have to restart and then tried to cut it out to make myself look good. It's just a glitch. That's what it was. Anyway. So the key we get from this puzzle helps us open up the toy box, which I have temporarily forgotten is in the top. I tend to confuse the toy box with this thing, the pink building, because the pink building looks a little bit like a toy box. But the toy box is actually inside here, which we get to with the plastic key. You can see my confusion. This doesn't look like a toy box either. It looks like a well. Actually, given what's about to happen, it's very much like a well. Oh. And there we go down the well. Toy box, sorry. Yeah, we should not have taken our eyes off of the main screen. Rookie mistake. Anyway, so if you don't have 1 health when you fall down here, you will have 1 health afterwards. Ebe loses her rose and you need to go find it. And you also need to find Garry. This is the point where if you've let the doom counter get too high with Garry, things go really bad in here. But we're just going to be able to push through it, because we have a good relationship with Garry. And he didn't break too much of Gertna's stuff. Oh, and the slow music here, you can really tell about the doubled sound effects, but...
Oh well.
I don't know, in a way it almost makes it more mysterious. I know I'm justifying my own mistakes, but that's how it goes.
Fair enough.
So yeah, now Eve needs to find her rose. It's a big room, actually. Kind of easy to get disoriented with all these details, so I often find it hard to see the rose. But it's right in the top of the screen right now. Yeah, Garry asks if there's a vase around here, but there is not. We also need to pick up one more thing, which is a key. This is something that might throw you the first time you fall down here, because you'd think, well, I've got my rose. Aren't things going to happen now? But no, not yet. Yeah, I was definitely thrown by this.
Yeah,
I'd forgotten a lot of what happened. But no, there is... It should stand out. I think it's pink, the thing you have to find. Yeah, there it is, a pink key. See? It's a little easy to overlook, but it's right where that cat is. And as soon as you pick it up, be very careful, because all these enemies will come to life.
Ooh.
This is one of the harder things in the game, honestly. It's very easy to accidentally run into one of these things. The one fortunate thing is they don't move that fast. So don't panic. I don't know if you noticed, but we are reaching the end game here. That's one reason this stuff is so overbearing.
Yeah, I did definitely notice that.
So if you try to leave this room, Garry will tell you should probably go through those thorns. Thorns with yellow roses around them, interestingly enough. Now, where have we seen those before? Garry wants to take a look at that painting. Oh. Oh, fancy seeing you here. Well, she's angry when she's mad. Anyway, you don't have much time to do stuff here. Trying to remove or tear the painting will not work. You have to burn it in order to save yourself. But it has kind of gruesome consequences. Kind of reminds me of an Edward Gorey story. You know? She just turns into ashes and disintegrates. I love this line. Oh. Well, she was a violent psychopath, but we ended up defeating her.
Yeah.
But it's bittersweet, you know? She, it seemed like maybe she could have had a chance in the outside world, but it was taken away from her. She was never really a real human being, so it's like, did she have a chance? There's some stuff in here you can look at that's sort of emblematic of Mary's life. So she was an artist as well, which makes sense, because her creator was an artist. She took photographs, she drew things. So if you haven't figured it out yet, I'll just spoil it here. This sketchbook world was not created by Gertina. It was actually created by Mary, who was Gertina's last work. And it's childish and poorly drawn because she's a child.
Oh!
So she basically lived here for her whole existence. I won't exactly say life. Before we encountered her. She was trying to get out and wandering through the other parts of the gallery where she'd never gone before. That's why she was nervous. Oh, and this is interesting. We finally ended up back in the gallery. All the artworks are in the same place they were at the beginning of the game. The only difference is that everything's dark, and the outlines of the walls are in red.
So, let me ask you something.
Go ahead.
Is there any way you could have gotten out with Mary?
Only by leaving Garry behind.
Ah.
Like I said before, I think the game says, for everyone who enters, one person can leave. Since Mary started out in this world, she would have to take someone's place. As it turns out, like the way the endings in this game work, the only endings in which Mary leaves the painting are the ones in which Garry goes insane. And so is unable to leave. In fact, there's even one ending where Mary makes it out and both Ebe and Garry don't. But that's for you viewers to figure out if you play this game, which you should because it's free and amazing. But no, so Garry took a look at this painting and the frame disappeared, so you can go through the painting. And it does kind of look like the real world, right? But then our mom comes up and says, you know, we should quit daydreaming. Like, is Garry even real? Did we daydream everything and this is just our mom trying to drag us away from the dream? Maybe Garry was created by the world to try to drag us permanently in here. I guess the real question at this point is, do you trust Garry?
Or do you trust your mother, knowing that she might be some kind of fake?
Something that looks like your mother, anyway.
I'm guessing Gary's the right choice.
It's a tough choice. One thing I like about this game is it doesn't really tell you. It doesn't give you the hints. You have to rely on your own sense of what would be right. So we go with Garry.
Well, I'm also going off of having being familiar with the story Coraline.
There's actually some really strong parallels between that and this.
Yeah.
Though thankfully our mom still has her eyeballs intact. I should say the fake mom.
True.
Well, it certainly looks like we made it out, didn't it? I mean, there's people here. It's bright. It wasn't like the other gallery. One of the things that might be kind of a clue to you is that your mom is coming up and telling you to go, but the gallery looks wrong. So... Yeah. I guess that is a subtle nudge in the right direction. But Gary's nowhere around here. If you remember at the beginning of the game, he was looking at the Hanged Man. And it's said that Ebe can't remember what she's doing here. So, what happened? It's hard to believe they could have gotten separated when they went through the painting together.
Yeah.
Maybe she really did imagine this. Maybe even that last part was imagined. Ebe is described as being a rather imaginative girl.
12.
Oh.
Yes, indeed.
There's Ebe's dad. So yeah, you don't actually leave here until you find Garry again. Because, I guess I'll just spoil that since it'll come up in the next 30 seconds. Garry is, in fact, here.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he had a kind of a head start on you.
That's true, he went in first, but he was grabbing your hand. I mean... There he is. By the rose statue. Quite appropriate. Oh, it's a red rose, like Ebe's.
Interestingly, he doesn't seem to remember.
No, he doesn't. Neither did Ebe. The game doesn't give you the chance to say something that would indicate you remember him, so it seems like Ebe doesn't remember him either. So yeah. And here comes our real mom. Maybe it's sort of a, I don't know, Wizard of Oz kind of thing. Where Ebe saw this guy, she wondered about him, and that's why he showed up in her dream. Really, with this ending, I mean, it's kind of vague, you know? It's hard to say.
Yeah.
So this is Memory's Crannies, one of 7 endings to the game. Spoiler alert, there are better endings. In the next video, the true finale, we're going to see one of those endings. There are also much worse endings. But for now, Ebe and Garry go their separate ways, never seeing each other again. Pretty bittersweet. The only nice thing about it is they both get to live their lives.
Yeah.
I mean, Garry did have friends, you know, so it's not that sad, but it seems like they appreciated each other, and they should be friends, Ebe and Garry. Don't worry, sentimental people in the audience. They will eventually be friends. I'll make sure. We're gonna Undertale this. Anyway, good night for now, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Good night, everybody.